The Forgotten Tragedy of the Iroquois Theatre Fire, Chicago. You didn't learn this in history class. In 1903, the Iroquois Theatre in Chicago opened its doors with bold promises. It was dubbed the safest, most luxurious theater in the world. Critics raved, audiences flocked. Architects call it state-of-the-art. And yet, just 5 weeks after opening, the Iroquois Theatre became the site of America's deadliest building fire, claiming the lives of over 600 people in a matter of minutes. The real horror? It didn't have to happen. Behind the velvet seats and the golden trimmings were lies, cut corners, and cover-ups. What went wrong in a building that was supposed to be fireproof, and why did no one pay the price? Today on Wonky History, we're uncovering the truth behind one of the darkest and most avoidable disasters in American history, the Iroquois Theatre Fire. Chapter 1, a theater built on ego, not safety. When it opened in November 1903, the Iroquois Theatre was hyped as an architectural marvel, something to rival the great opera houses of Europe. It boasted marble columns, plush blue seats, a hand-painted ceiling dome, and space for nearly 2,000 guests. It was built to impress Chicago's elite, and it succeeded. The press called it absolutely fireproof, and city officials eagerly echoed that claim. But underneath the glamour, there were glaring issues. Many exits were hidden or poorly marked. Some doors opened inward, making them useless in a panic. Fire escapes were incomplete, and shockingly, the much-touted asbestos safety curtain? It wasn't asbestos at all. It was painted canvas. The city's own fire inspector hadn't even been allowed to examine the building before opening day. The theater was a symbol of civic pride, but it was a death trap disguised as a masterpiece. Chapter 2, a matinee of horror. On December 30th, 1903, the Iroquois was packed to the rafters for a matinee of Mr. Bluebeard, a family-friendly musical comedy. It was the holidays, and most of the 1,900 attendees were women and children enjoying winter break. 20 minutes into Act 2, a stagehand noticed a flicker of flame above the stage. A spark from a stage light had ignited a backdrop. Initially, no one panicked. Audiences assumed it was part of the spectacle. But as flames leapt into the rafters, it became horrifyingly clear. The theater was on fire. There was no fire alarm, no sprinkler system. The cast froze, unsure what to do. Stagehands tried to douse the flames with powder, unsuccessfully. In minutes, the fire engulfed the fly loft above the stage, raining flaming debris down onto the performers. What began as a holiday treat quickly turned into a nightmare of fire and smoke. Chapter 3, Doors to Nowhere. As the fire spread, the audience surged for the exits, but quickly discovered a terrifying truth. There was no way out. Many of the exits were blocked by curtains or scenery. Some were locked, others jammed shut, and most opened inward, causing deadly bottlenecks as crowds pushed forward in desperation. Panic rippled through the theater. Balcony guests leapt over railings in an attempt to escape the flames, crushing people below. Fire escapes were incomplete or led to nowhere. One opened to a brick wall. Some theater staff escaped through a hidden stage door, but never warned the audience. Within minutes, hundreds of bodies piled up near exits. Many died not from flames, but from suffocation or being trampled by the terrified crowd. The theater's claim of being fireproof was tragically ironic. It was safer to be outside in the snow than trapped in that burning palace. Chapter 4, Flames from the Sky. One of the theater's supposed safety features was a large asbestos curtain, meant to drop between the stage and audience in case of fire. As the blaze grew, someone pulled the lever, but the curtain jammed halfway down. It failed to block anything. Worse, it wasn't asbestos at all, just painted cotton fabric. With the curtain stuck, flames and superheated air exploded into the orchestra section like a fireball. The building's newly installed rooftop vents opened, creating a backdraft that shot fire forward. People sitting closest to the stage were burned alive in their seats. Some tried jumping from balcony windows, falling 3 stories to the icy alley below. The scene was apocalyptic. Screams echoed in the smoke-filled chamber as visibility dropped to nothing. Many victims died clutching loved ones. Some were burned beyond recognition. Entire families vanished in a matter of seconds. Chapter 5. Silence and Scapegoats. In the aftermath, Chicago was shaken. Over 600 people, mostly women and children, were dead. But when the grieving stopped, the finger-pointing began. The theater's owners, architects, city officials, and safety inspectors all blamed each other. Not a single person served time. The building's fire inspector testified that he was never allowed to inspect the Iroquois. It turned out that political favors and bribes had allowed the theater to bypass every safety standard. Even the mayor deflected responsibility. Some lawsuits were filed, but most were dismissed. Families received pitiful settlements, if anything. Chicago's political machine closed ranks. No justice was ever truly served. The worst building fire in U.S. history became a scandal, then a footnote, and the lives lost became just another casualty of ambition, arrogance, and unchecked power. Chapter 6. How 600 deaths saved millions. While no one was punished, the Iroquois Theatre fire did lead to change. The horror was so undeniable, so graphic, that the public demanded reforms. Within months, cities across the U.S. began rewriting fire codes. Exit doors were required to swing outward. Emergency lights and illuminated exit signs became standard. Stage curtains were tested for real flame resistance. Sprinkler systems became mandatory in theaters. The event also sparked the rise of building safety inspections and fire drills in public venues. These measures have saved countless lives, but they came at the cost of 600 who never made it out. It's a lesson in tragic irony. The people inside the safest theater in America had to die so others could live. Today, most people don't even know their story, but every emergency exit we see is their legacy, written in blood and ash. History often remembers the wars, the heroes, the grand moments, but sometimes its most powerful lessons come from the tragedies hidden in the shadows. The Iroquois Theatre fire wasn't caused by a single villain, but by a web of arrogance, indifference, and corruption. A luxurious facade masked a deadly truth, and when the flames came, no one was ready. Over 600 souls paid for it, with their lives. If this story gave you chills, you're not alone. These are the events they don't teach in school, but they matter just as much, because they remind us what happens when the appearance matters more than safety, and when power silences accountability. If you want more strange, haunting, and overlooked chapters of the past, hit that like button, subscribe to Wonky History, and tell us what bizarre event you want to see next. Until then, stay curious and think twice about the word fireproof.